Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Meaty Boat Podcast, your weekly edition of us talking about movies, TV, music, and video games. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. And yes, thank you for joining us at the Media Boat Podcast, your source for Gossip Girl. I mean, your source for
Hey,
TV,
what are we
video
doing
games,
here?
music. Yeah, what are we doing here?
What are
This
we
is
doing
the
here?
excellent question. Thanks for all you new question mark viewers that have helped us watch that video. Thank you. That was like a weird side project that I decided to do. But what we actually do here is talk about the media, as Mike so dutifully said. Yeah, today we'll have another episode for you. It is January the 10th, 2024. It is episode 469. Nice.
Nice.
And yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Again, because it's kind of the doldrums of winter, not a whole lot of thoughts, but we do have a lot of news for you. Video games and sports exploded this week, so we have quite a bit to talk about in those categories specifically.
Yeah, we did. But before we get to all that, we start with the music section. Start the music
Yes,
section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And Christmas is gone.
yep,
And we have a new number one.
we do.
A first time hitting number
Yes.
one, actually, on the Hot 100, your singles chart. At number one is Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. Finally
Mhm.
getting that top spot.
Yep.
Coming in at two, a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. At three, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. Coming in at four, Lose Control by Teddy Swims. And rounding out your top five, Apt by Rose and Bruno Mars.
It's Rose. I didn't do the thing to make the
Oh,
accent.
the accent.
But yeah, Rose from Blackpink, I want to say.
Delicious.
Um, yes, with Bruno Mars.
And not
So that means
strawberries.
two Bruno Mars appearances on the Hot 100 this week.
What is it, 2010s?
Yeah,
Uh, as for your album chart, your Billboard 200, at number one is SOS by SZA, getting the bump again,
still.
the deluxe bump. Coming at two, GNX by Kendrick Lamar, getting the Drake Tears bump. Coming in at three, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter, getting the Netflix bump. At four, Wicked, the soundtrack by various artists, getting the popular bump. And rounding out your top five, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish. No bump needed there.
Yeah, now that the Christmas albums are out, this is just kind of a reflection of the entire year of 2024. You kind of have all of the year's heavy hitters here, except for Taylor Swift. But yeah, yeah, this pretty much
So
sums it
you're,
up.
you're right, all the year's heavy hitters.
Yeah, exactly.
If you like any of those albums, we have new releases, including The Human Fear by Franz Ferdinand. Yes,
Yeah.
that Franz Ferdinand. And also Look Up, not the Netflix movie, or which is Don't Look
No,
Up.
that's Don't Look Up.
Yes, that's right. This one is album by Ringo Starr,
Yes.
Sir Tottenham himself.
Fun fact about this album, it's a country record, which, isn't super surprising if you know a lot about Ringo Starr and the Beatles. He has done country-esque songs before, including on Beatles albums. So this isn't super surprising, but it does mean that he's chasing a little bit of a 2024 trend here coming into 2025.
As Ringo Starr tends to do. All right, let's get into some music news.
Yes.
And hey, did you know there's a fire in California?
Yeah, in order to talk about this news story, we do need to talk about some events that are happening here in the Los Angeles area. If you're in the Los Angeles area like we are, surely this has been on your radar. In fact, it's been big enough news where even if you're not here, it's probably been something that's been widely discussed and all over the news on television and on social media.
Unless you're in
Um,
Texas, in which case you are freezing over there.
Freezing to death, yeah. So yeah, a couple of major wildfires with a handful of smaller wildfires have come up around the Los Angeles area, both north of downtown LA and west of downtown LA.
Hmm.
Those fires are currently still blazing, trying to be contained. The fire department is doing their best. A lot of people were sent into had to evacuate their areas. A lot of the Pacific Palisades specifically has burned down. A lot of homes lost, just a lot of damage. It is now, I believe, set a couple records. It is now the most devastating fire in Los Angeles city history, as well as the priciest fire uh, in recorded U.S. history. It is over $2 billion is the number I saw, and this was yesterday. So that number is probably still going up. Property damage. So yeah, our hearts, of course, go out to the people who have had their homes or their property damaged. The families of again, last time I heard, 5 people who had died due to the fires. And also, of course, support goes out to the firefighters and other first responders that are out there on the scene, helping people evacuate, helping people recover. There are, of course, even more people that are running the shelters for people to evacuate to, that are providing food to the people. If you're concerned at all, just do some quick and want to help. There are plenty of ways you can help. Donating things and donating money to the cause always helps. Just Google, and you'll find some ways to help out. Thankfully, I'm here in Long Beach, which is southeast enough of the damage that we are no longer even in a red flag zone, which is really, really nice. I know a lot of Orange County still is, ironically enough, except
Hmm.
for the beach cities. So we're lucky, but there's a lot of people that aren't. And so yeah, our hearts go out to all the people that are affected by the fires, and hopefully they get put out soon. Hopefully this gets handled, and hopefully we move towards a future where we have the infrastructure that can handle it, the funding that can handle recovery efforts, and hopefully a slightly less warm planet that we don't have to worry about natural disasters like these constantly happening year after year and displacing people from their homes.
I'm sorry. Do you not know what's happening in 10 days?
Yeah, well, we can hope. Hope is still something we can have. Like, no
No,
one can
no,
take
not
that
not
away
with
from
what came out
us.
of New York today. Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
well, some things are better than others.
Anyways,
But
we're not a political podcast, is
no,
what Matt is trying to
but
say.
what we can talk about here is what like parts of the industry are doing to kind of help the support effort.
Yes, as the fire continues to blaze and is continuing to be battled, a benefit concert has already been announced to take place at the newly opened Intuit Dome at the end of the month on January 30th, with the purpose of rebuilding those communities, as Matt stated, that were devastated by the LA wildfires. Titled FireAid, it is described as an quote evening of music and solidarity, with performers and ticket information announced to be scheduled in the coming days. The event is produced by Shelley Irving and the Azoff family in conjunction with Live Nation and AEG Presents. Of course, proceeds from the concert will go towards rebuilding infrastructure, supporting displaced families, and advancing fire prevention technologies and strategies to ensure LA is better prepared for fire emergencies, which is good.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen with other disasters occur, that music relief funds and aid is typically a good way to help, uh, not really pass the hat, so to say, but to help like build up those funds, that
Yeah.
aid and the relief, and just to like
Yeah.
keep those people in your thoughts too, because the fire is going to burn down in a matter of days here, but the damage, as we've seen with Hawaii, which was just
Hmm.
last year, is still relevant. It's still there. Like, people are still displaced even from that Hawaiian fire a year ago,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
don't have their homes built. So, like, fires are dangerous. I feel like I don't need to say that, but fires
Right.
are dangerous. And as beautiful as some and like awe-standing as some of those pictures and videos are, they are terrorizing through. It is terrorized through like people's homes and lives and
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah. And you know, say what you will about Live Nation. Obviously, Live Nation slash Ticketmaster, you know, not everybody's favorite company in the world, but they're also one of the few companies that exist still in this industry that have the money to put something on this big. And so I'm glad that they're at least partially doing what they can, doing some good here by putting this together and hopefully getting those funds for this recovery. Because yeah, like you said, there's a lot of recovery that needs to be done. There's a lot of rebuilding that is to come, and it's going to be expensive. So it's going to take a lot.
Yeah, and best way to do it is to do it together.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. We'll talk about fire more in sports as some
Mhm.
sporting events got displaced. But before we get there, you listened to an album.
Yeah.
Okay. You listened to a album called Perverts by Ethel Cain.
Yeah. So, okay. I want to preface this by saying here on the Media Boat podcast, in the thoughts section, the whenever we do a thought about something, a phrase that we often say is your mileage may vary. Um, this album might be the most your mileage may vary of anything we've ever talked about on this show.
I'm sorry, we talked about hundreds of beavers, and that
Yes.
was a very miles may vary.
Yeah, but hundreds of beavers is at least something you can put in front of most people and they will at least think some of it is funny or charming. Um Perverts, the new album by Ethel Cain, it has the exact opposite effect, I would bet, on most people. So for context, if you're not familiar with Ethel Cain, in 22, she released an album called oh shit, what's the name of the album? Anyway,
That's a great name for an album, especially to be followed up by Perverts.
right. Hold on.
I mean,
I remember that
I'd like
this
someone to actually put out that album. Just how, oh shit, what's the name of that album?
yeah. That's pretty good actually. So yeah, her album was called Preacher's Daughter, and it included the single American Teenager. That was a pretty big hit in kind of like the indie scene and gained her a big cult following on the internet. She kind of became someone who was lumped into the larger scene of pop girls, quote unquote, that kind of came about in the early 2020s. Well, you know, as Chapel Roan has proven in the last year, that is a double-edged sword, that notoriety, because yes, it means that you're bigger than ever and you have name recognition and a big fan army online. But of course, the downside of that is it gives you maybe unwarranted attention and maybe fan attention and maybe fan abuse. And maybe at your concert, people can't stop shouting at you and when you just want to be able to perform your music. The thing is about the thing is about Ethel Cain is that she doesn't really write pop music. She never has. American Teenager is the closest to that, and in itself is like a 5+ minute long ballad. It's not an accessible record. So all of this kind of combined to where she decided to do the inevitable, like what a lot of pop stars do when they are kind of maybe not happy with the pop star branding that they've been associated with and rebel against that. So she took an already relatively inaccessible record and put out an even more inaccessible record. What Perverts actually is an hour and a half, and it is mostly ambient drone music. So a lot of noise, a lot of experimental noise, like a lot of, not a whole lot of singing. But when there is singing, it is also kind of covered in static and is very vague and poetic. This is not a pop record at all, and it's not even as easy to listen to as her last record. So basically, this is a giant sign saying, I am not the pop star you were looking for. And you know what? I didn't hate it. That being said, I have, from time to time been interested in noise music. I mean, I love Sonic Youth, so that's a fact about me. But not everybody can handle that. So just know, if you liked American Teenager, if you liked Ethel Cain, if you liked Stefan Preacher's Daughter, just know what you're getting into here. Because, like I said at the top, this is very much, your mileage may vary. I think a lot of people who've liked your music in the past will listen to this and not be able to get past the first song.
Now, I've listened to me about favorite King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, who've
Yeah.
also put out this kind of album where it's a very like jazz riff drone,
Mhm.
not very melodic and
Right.
not very vocal heavy album. And that was a very Miles May Vary album as well.
Yeah.
So kind of the same vein here.
I mean, yeah, I haven't listened to that, so I can't tell you from personal experience if it's like this or not. But what you're getting at is, yeah, it's true. A lot of these bands, especially in the indie space, every once in a while they want to do something a little different. They want to do something a little bit more experimental, and this is definitely that. It's important to note though that I guess her management is and her record label are kind of not referring to this as a proper album. And one of the write-ups I read over the past couple days, I think it was Stereo Gum. I want to credit them so that way I'm not just like stealing this. Um, Said that that might be them hedging their bets, basically saying like, hey, if you guys don't like this, if this isn't a popular release, then maybe there will be a proper Ethel Cain follow up to Preacher's Daughter down the line. But I honestly think that this is a kind of a gutsy move to pull. I think this kind of proves like you can't pigeonhole me. Like I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing what I think my artistic statement is, and no amount of fan army on the internet will stop me. And I think that that's admirable, especially in an era where the biggest records aren't taking those kind of risks. Like you have to be Taylor Swift, basically, on the level on Taylor's level to in order to do have complete creative freedom and put out whatever you want. And so the fact that Ethel Cain is doing that at kind of a lower rung of fame is still impressive to me. I would love to see Chapel Roan do a similar move, but I don't think she has the capacity. I think she likes pop music too much to put out a drone record. So, but yeah,
Probably.
that's Perverts. It's fascinating. It's a beefy thing. It's like I said, an hour and a half long. So approach with caution. But if that is anything what I said is interesting to you, then maybe check it out.
All right. Well, if you want to go back to the mainstream of audio, I'm surprised it wasn't your news story. Well, I guess I know why it wasn't your story,
Yeah.
but we have the music festival lineup out of Manchester, Tennessee that was announced this week. Bonnaroo!
Yes.
It's not the main story, but we should at least list the headliners.
Yeah,
It is
sure.
a 4-day movie music fest. So on Thursday, we have Dom Dalla and Luke Combs.
Yeah.
On Friday, Glass Animals, John Summit, and Tyler, the creator. Saturday, there's Justice, Avril Lavigne, and Olivia Rodrigo. And
Yeah.
close out Sunday, Queens of the Stone Age, Vampire Weekend, and because it's Sunday, you gotta go to church, Hosier.
Yeah, I think overall you have a good mix of bands that are, touring off of their big album releases the previous year. And then, yeah, a handful of big comebacks there. Avril Lavigne is an interesting one to see come back. A lot of rumors have been swirling over the last couple of years of a Queens of the Stone Age reunion. That looks like that's actually happening. It's an interesting lineup for sure.
Yeah, those are your main headliners.
Yeah.
Bunch of other artists out there is included, but there's also in its own little bubble a big plus of King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard having a Rue residency. That's 3 sets over 3 days,
There you go.
and they have enough material to do it.
Yeah, clearly.
All right, but yeah, that's Bonnaroo. That's in Manchester, Tennessee, the summer, June 12th through the 15th this year.
Yep.
Assuming it's still happening. So yeah, tickets are on sale now. Go buy your tickets.
Yep.
All right. I didn't listen to anything else really. So let's move into video games where we start with new release.
Yes.
Singular.
Just the
There's only
one.
one coming out this week. It's Donkey Kong Country Returns HD for the Switch, as if it was coming
Yep,
out for anything else.
this is the second re-release of a Donkey Kong Country Returns game. Tropical Freeze already had it, the sequel to this
Hmm.
game already had a Switch release, so this completes the circle. So if you never got to play the Wii version, which is the original platform this came out on, now you can play it on Switch.
All right. Let's get into video game news where so much happened. As you mentioned,
Yes.
we got to wrap it up into the gaming bits.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Switch and Switch 2 rumors, Nintendo has come out to react to everything, saying that images and videos are, quote, not official. So just a
Yeah.
reminder, unless Nintendo actually has a press conference or actually says it on their website, everything is a rumor, everything is
Yeah.
speculation. Even if
Yeah.
it is like part of like patent law that you can find stuff of what they're doing.
Yeah, so if you've been following the roller coaster of Switch leaks the last couple of weeks, which we don't really talk about a whole lot here because I don't love to dwell on rumor, but in this case, Nintendo did comment on it, which means that, hey, we're allowed to talk a little about it. So I will say, yeah, so far we've had all sorts of different things come out. Somebody put out what they believe to be the logo for the Nintendo Switch. That's out there. There were some images of what are likely the Joy-Cons as well as some information about what the Joy-Cons might be capable of, including having a mouse-like sensor on the bottom to be used on a tabletop like a mouse. Which means, hey, I don't know, maybe the upcoming Civ 7, you can play on your Switch with a mouse. You also saw some images, I think even up to today, of what may be a development unit of the Switch 2. So yeah, a lot of confirmation as well. Oh yeah, and I didn't mention peripheral manufacturers have been putting out like peripherals that may or may not be compatible with the Switch 2 that kind of gives us more ideas about what it might look like. So I guess that dev unit, or at least a replica of it, was spotted backstage at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show that happened in Vegas this past week, where several of these news stories in the bits today come from. So yeah, it's kind of just adding up to we more or less know what the Switch 2 is. It looks like it's going to be the Switch, but better in some ways. And sure, I think that's compelling enough for most people to buy one.
I mean, yeah, the Switch is slowly coming up on 10 years old. So, Switch 2, uh,
Yeah.
you can listen to the rumors, you cannot. You can be surprised if you want, but if just based on how Nintendo does stuff in the past, they will always try and play catch up with the type of tech that's currently
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
But they're also throwing new stuff out there as
Right.
well,
Yeah. I really
which
hope
is what
there's maybe
Nintendo does.
something. Yeah. And I'm kind of holding out hope that there's something that we don't know, that maybe there's something that hasn't been leaked that would be surprising. Because I love when Nintendo does surprising things, and they could easily pull a huge curveball on us with something new that the Switch 2 can do.
Well, Nintendo did pull a huge curveball on everybody this week as they did announce a new console
Yeah.
in Lego format this
Yeah,
week.
that Game Boy Lego set will be available later in the year, which is
Yeah, it
a
will be.
neat idea.
Yeah. They already have they've put out the NES before. I think they also put out an SNES with the TV as well. So makes
I
sense
think
that
just the NES so
is it
far.
just the NES version
Yeah.
with the Duck Hunt?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, makes sense that they'll do the Game Boy with it. Uh Nice crossover. I thought this would be kind of bigger, like all the Lego games becoming to Nintendo,
No.
but no. But speaking of games that will be coming out eventually, Ubisoft delays the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game from January to March. And they've also hinted at rumored Tencent buyout, which will ultimately lead to possible layoffs.
Yeah, I guess Yves Guillemot, the
Eves.
president,
Yes.
yes, Eves, himself, commented this week about the move and kind of the future of Ubisoft. We still don't know anything 100%. Ubi has not specifically mentioned Tencent, but all signs do point to them being the major investor that looks to be the purchase looks to purchase Ubisoft. This won't be a huge surprise if it does happen. They've been kind of hard up on money for a few years now, and there haven't been a huge like enough hits coming out of the studio to really attract people to their games. So yeah, this is kind of a 1-2 punch. We might see a very interesting year for Ubisoft if they do have a new corporate parent, if they do have to make a lot of layoffs, and whether or not Assassin's Creed Shadows will be a hit or not.
Are you saying very early shot called Ubisoft Story of the Year?
It's possible they're gonna have a weird one, that's for sure. I don't know if it's gonna be big enough, but we'll find out.
All right. We also have Xbox Developer Direct, which will feature new games and is scheduled for the 23rd, which is what, Monday, Thursday, 2 weeks from now? Yeah, because we'll record on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
24th.
That is new game singular.
Oh,
Because
sorry.
typically these developer directs are not places where they do a lot of game announcements, with the exception being the time that they snuck in Hi-Fi Rush in one of the previous developer directs that they did. The bulk of the developer direct will be dedicated to games that have already been announced. We will see new footage of Doom, the new medieval Doom game. We will see footage of why can't I think of any names today? Um, shoot, Sev-
Microsoft, Activision,
several, yes,
Blizzard.
several Microsoft games will be showcased at this thing. So yeah, um, it'll probably be meaty enough. And one of the nice things about the developer directs is that it's not just talking about the games. You also kind of get a lot of interview footage with people who are actually making the games, which is always good to see. So yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Always interesting to see what Xbox decides to throw out there. Speaking of things being thrown out there, abuse gets hurled everywhere, and Marvel Rivals is no exception, as they announced that they will ban character mods alongside its next update.
Yeah, a lot of cool things are happening with that update. The Fantastic Four characters will be
Hmm.
added, a bunch of new modes, some balance tweaks. But the side story to this is that character mod stuff. If you've been on the internet the last week, you'll have seen a lot of character mods of existing characters made to look like other things. People were taking the PC version and retooling a lot of the character designs. Well, they're shutting that down. They don't like it. They don't like the fact that other company IP is being brought into this Marvel game. So yeah, they're going to shut down mod support and probably ban people who use it.
Makes sense because this is an ongoing live service game.
Yeah,
So it's, I mean, Marvel wants to own and protect their IP, especially
right.
with Marvel Rivals, that they create these characters to look specifically for Marvel Rivals, and they don't want anyone else coming in and toying with their brand new shiny toy.
Yeah.
All right. Something we don't do is go over to the PC world.
Eh.
I've got a couple of PC updates, including Lenovo announcing Legion Go S handheld, which is which will be the first third-party device to run Valve's Steam OS.
Yes. For the first time, you can buy another handheld console that will use SteamOS like the Steam Deck does. This is the first time Valve is allowing this officially. The Legion Go S isn't the only Legion Go, though. They will also
Mhm.
release one that has a Windows-based platform on it, which means that if you'd rather have the Windows experience as opposed to the Steam Deck experience, you'll also have that as an option. And they will be released as separate models with separate price points. I do believe that the Windows version will be more expensive. But I
Mhm.
included this for you as someone who has been curious about the handheld PC scene.
Furious and
This
keep
might
teetering
be
on the fence about it.
yeah, this might be an interesting option because it will be a slightly more powerful option than the Steam
Mhm.
Deck proper, but maybe at a decent price point. for you. So yeah, maybe take a look at this when this launches.
I will definitely be taking a look at it. I keep like peeking my head about every 3 months or so,
Yeah.
just check it in. Like, yeah, y'all dropped that price yet? Y'all got
Yeah.
those new features yet?
Right.
Is it something worth investing yet?
Maybe it's happening.
I don't know.
The
Here's
next
the
thing,
thing about
however,
yeah, next
yeah,
thing over is like the reason I don't ever take that plunge is
yeah,
because as soon as you get the best thing out there,
yeah,
next best thing right around the corner, and this is no exception, as
yeah,
Nvidia finally announces 5,000 series GPUs, the 5090 and the 5080 cards, which will launch at the end of the month. If you happen to have a spare $2,000, $1,000,
yeah,
respectively, which will then be followed by the 5070 Ti and the 5070 in February for just a slight price cut of $750 or $550 respectively for just the graphics card
yeah.
and nothing else.
So yeah, so these new cards don't add a whole lot of new features over the 4000 series cards. So chances are if you spent the money for a 4090 like I did, you're probably good. It doesn't seem
Mhm.
like the 5090 is a full two times better performance. It's more like 1.5 roughly. So yeah, not a huge upgrade up at the very top. However, for the lower end cards, you're actually looking at a full two times upgrade. So if, for example, you have a 4070 right now, it might be worth it to take a look at that $750 5070 Ti. That being said, like I said, not a whole lot of new stuff. It's basically just taking everything the previous cards did and doing them better and more efficiently. Um, there's one new feature, I believe, added to the top cards, the 90 and the 80, which is a some sort of frame generation improvement. Um, but ultimately, very few games are going to take advantage of all the bells and whistles anytime soon. So maybe hold off. I do not think $2,000 is worth it to own one of these cards the day it comes out.
No, because you're gonna own one, you gotta own like four or five of them, especially to resell, right? Didn't we
don't
already go
don't
through
even
this like in 2020?
don't do that again. We can't live this again.
I, I'm not saying that we're doing the exact same thing 4 years ago with a new like Nvidia card coming out in January.
Yeah.
No, no, no. This is nothing
Mm-mm.
like what the start of 2020. No, with
No,
wildfires
nothing.
everywhere. No,
Nothing like that.
nothing like that. History doesn't repeat itself that
Anyways.
early. Anyways, last bit of gaming bits and also our thoughts on the week. Games get on quick. It
Yeah.
started on Sunday. I've been watching a lot of it. They're going on right now with the current Tetris run that I am like keep
Yeah.
eyeballing over on my screen right now.
I see.
But yeah, they passed $1 billion as of
Cool.
this morning with their Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stream. Congratulations. This is always expected as they typically raise just over $2 million during these charity runs. This one is the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So always nice to see money going to fight cancer whenever you can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have fun watching these streams. Always fun watching the break and banter and the fake outs when they're there. Although I
Yeah.
was disappointed in the Pokemon Go Let's Go Eevee run because they got to the end and they lost right before land. So they said, okay, we're gonna call the run there.
Ooh, dang. That
Yeah.
sucks.
They thought they were safe and then they got crit shotted and it was like, oh, well, that killed the run. All right, we're
Ah,
done here. We're not gonna spend the next another 20 minutes going through the Elite Four. We're just gonna end it here.
yikes.
But yeah, always fun to see speedrunners go fast. Gotta go
Absolutely. Yeah.
fast.
Always a couple highlights of the year when games done quick is happening.
Yep. All right. Other than that, did you play anything?
Just more Call of Duty, a little bit more Affinity, Nikki. After taking a whole week off doing an editing project.
Yes.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I've back into Infinity. I've been streaming some Infinity Nikki. I
Cool.
got past the place I was stuck because I
You were
realized,
stuck?
oh, well, okay. I was stuck because either forgot or didn't want to, on principle, go and level up my clothing.
Oh yeah. So wait. Oh, you're probably where I'm at then.
Where are you at?
Building the outfit, and I have like I'm stuck building an outfit because I have to go back and battle all the stylists to get
Oh,
like
no, I'm not there yet.
no, you're not there yet.
No, no, I was at the end of chapter five, or like in the middle of chapter five, uh, where I needed to have I think it was a cool outfit, the Braveheart one. I was like, what the
Uh
hell's a Braveheart one?
oh, just like one of the smaller like
Yeah, but I didn't realize I
things.
could just like level up my Purify and just do it that
Yeah.
way because I didn't want
So
to level up.
yeah, I also heard that if you want to just focus on the I forget the name of the like the floaty things.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that if you just level those up, that will help a great deal at the end. It kind of gives you enough bonus at the very end of the stylus battles that it kind of pushes you over the edge.
Well, I also didn't realize that leveling up the purity levels up my attack as well.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
just like blasting everything like with ease now.
Oh yeah, you can get like armor piercing rounds. You can get ones that go through enemies.
Yes, it's so nice to have now. I didn't realize that was a thing in it.
Yeah,
So I'm like squarely in chapter seven now. I think there's like 8 chapters in total. I finally got to the big tree.
yeah. Okay,
The big tree
yeah.
that was playing in like the opening credit roll. I was like, where am I getting to that?
Where is that?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
why. It just happened to be all the way down chapter seven.
yeah. That area
Uh
is one of the better areas in the game. I didn't care for the Sky Island stuff at all with the PCs. That was
yeah.
really hard to navigate, and I never really understood like, oh, I have to go back between these islands and I have to use the pathways until I get the fast travel locations.
Oh, see, what I did was just take the first immediately go fast travel all the way up and then
Yeah,
go back down and
you
like
go
do
back
everything
down,
all the way up.
float down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's easy to go up to down than down to up.
I didn't love that. I did love the minecart stuff and the train level. That was fun. Like the train
I
thing where
did
you're
like
like,
yeah, I did like that it like just like randomly here. It's like, oh, this is fun. This is
yeah.
different. It
I
did go
I
on
was like, wow,
forever.
it's
I
like
was on
that
Infinity
part in
Train.
it was like that part in Uncharted 2.
Yes, on the Infinity Train. Just keeps going.
Just keep
I
going.
thought that was fun. Uh,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I like doing the events as they come
Hmm.
up
Yeah,
and
this
like
wishing
solely
event was
focusing on
fun.
the event missions and
Yeah,
getting all those outfits. That's actually the outfit I'm currently running is the Midnight Silver outfit.
it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, even though I got the
Except
sexy outfit from the one before.
yeah, except it's pants.
It's a pantsuit,
The
yeah.
the silver outside. I was trying to figure out because I was like, is that a jacket? No, it's pants. And so
Yeah.
I tried to find it and it was like, you can put basically this is wow, we're getting into the weeds with Infinity Nikki. And a lot of people are gonna be like, what the hell are they talking about? But
Yes.
there's not a whole lot of tops that you can put under it because it'll clip through the silver. It's
Yep.
so frustrating. I was trying to make an outfit with it and everything clipped through. Like everything looked terrible because it was not designed. It's only designed for like the thing it comes with. And I was like, man, I like the silver part, but I don't love the tie thing. And so I was like, well, I just want to put something under that. And yeah, not everything worked. And I was so frustrated.
Yeah, see, I like this a lot better because it looks more natural running around in it than the costume I was wearing prior, which was the sexy, lovely hearts Bond girl outfit.
Hey, well, to each their own.
But I really wanted that outfit. I just happened to get it all in pieces.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we can't talk about this all day, but
Yes.
as much as we want to.
Anyways, yeah. I'll be streaming more of that. I'll be probably streaming someone awesome doing playoff football because we're in playoff football. And that's a
Yeah.
great segue into television with the sports section because the NFL has ended.
Yes.
That means we have some season ending stats here.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. I'm not making the playoffs this year, Joe Burrow, is your passing leader this year with 4,918 passing yards and 43 touchdowns. Did not hit the 5K.
No.
Sucks to be him. Over in the running backs, Saquon Barkley is your top running back this year with 2,005 rushing yards. He did cross the 2 century mark, the 2,000 mark. He's only like the fifth player ever to hit that,
Wow.
but he won't win MVP. Joining Mr. Burrow in the I'm not making the playoffs this year is his wide receiver, Jamar Chase, who is the top receiver with 1,708 receiving yards. But your top touchdown getter, with the help of three touchdowns at the end of the last game of the season, literally game 271 out of 271, Sunday Night Football, Jahmyr Gibbs with three touchdowns on the night propelled him to 20 touchdowns on the year, being your top touchdown earner.
Okay.
Over on the defensive side, Zaire Franklin is your top tackler with 173 on the year. Trey Hendrickson is your top sacks leader with 17 and a half sacks. And Kirby Joseph is your top interception leader with 9.
Okay.
As for their overall points earner in the NFL, this year it was the kicker of Boz, Chris Boswell, with 158 points. That's broken down to 41 field goals and 35 extra points.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield tie in distinction for the worst quarterback of the year, as they both threw for 16 interceptions this year. But vying for worst rookie of the year, Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times. Though I
Oof.
guess that distinction more goes to his offensive line
Yeah.
than Caleb Williams himself.
Not his fault.
Yeah, not his fault. Let's see here. But yeah, that's the end of the NFL season with the stats.
Yeah.
While some teams are looking forward to the postseason, some teams are looking to the offseason.
Yeah.
And Tennessee Titans, you are on the clock. Congratulations. You have the first pick overall in the 2025 draft, followed by the Browns, Giants, Patriots, and Jaguars. Hey, some of these teams had top picks last year.
Yeah. Well, history repeats. So, on that subject, how do you feel about the playoff picture? What are your feelings about how this season went?
Uh, I mean, it's so Joe Burrow. I just want to talk about Joe Burrow real quick here. Did everything he could, minus the first 4 games of the season, to
Hmm.
get himself into the playoff position. He did everything in the final game to literally pull his team from the conundrums to win that final game. All that had to happen was for the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Broncos in the final game of the year. Sounds easy when you have a 14-1 Kansas City Chiefs against
Uh-huh.
a 7-7 Denver team. Except Kansas City purposely rest all their starters. Kansas City purposely, this might tinfoil that your hat going on here,
Oh, okay, okay.
purposely threw the game to prevent Joe Burrow from entering the playoffs. Because had the Chiefs won that game, Joe Burrow and the Bengals would have been the 7th seed. They would have snuck in the playoffs. They would have to go and play Josh Allen, the number 2 seed, in Buffalo. Had they won that game, they would have then had to play the number 1 seed, Kansas City Chiefs, in Burrowhead the following week. And Patrick Mahomes didn't want any of Joe Burrow at all in the playoffs. So he said, you know what? It's okay if we go 14-2 this year. We don't need to be 15-1. We don't need it. We lost 1 game. We're not going for perfect anymore.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yes,
I mean, maybe.
Joe Burrow. That's exactly what happened.
Well,
All right.
besides that,
Besides that, as I mentioned, a lot of sports in Los Angeles, like the Rams, uh, are finding themselves not playing this week because of the fires.
yeah,
Well, the Rams were supposed to host a playoff game this year. Well,
right.
that's not happening on Monday night.
No.
So instead, they get to play the 14-2 Vikings, who are somehow the 5th seed
Yeah.
at 14-2, as the away team playing the 10-8 Rams as the home team in Arizona because of the wildfires, and
Yeah.
not in the black void that is Las Vegas, where there's a bunch of hotels and easy access and partying that you can throw the Viking players off. No, no, no. They got to go to Arizona where there's nothing.
Yeah. No distractions.
Yes, less distractions. But the NFL likes the Arizona arena.
Mhm.
They, I mean, they just had the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl there, so
Mm.
it's all in good fun.
Yep.
All right, but that's not the only thing. Last thing in the NFL is that as the end of the year happens, coaching vacancies. Teams looking for a new head coach.
Yep.
As of right now, there are 6 openings in the NFL coaching carousel this year going into the 2025 season. They are the New England Patriots, who I remind you have
Mm.
the number 4 overall pick this year. The Chicago Bears, who just had the number 1 overall pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the number 5 overall pick this year. The Las Vegas Raiders, who, you know, just suck. The New York Jets, who have big Rogers problem. And the New Orleans Saints, who have a big quarterback question mark going into the year. So yeah, if you know someone who wants to take up any of these coaching positions, they're looking for a new head coach.
Yeah, I don't know anybody, so can't help.
All right. Well, that was the NFL.
Yep.
Um,
Came in second, by the way. Tied for second in that
oh yeah,
pick'em
I
league.
saw that. Yeah, in the pick'ems,
Couldn't
Mantar,
do
you
it.
cannot pass Mantar.
I had
Mantar
to
knows all.
right. I had to have a miracle in the last week, and the miracle did not happen. Nothing.
You did not
None of
pick
the
Denver.
risks. No, the risks I picked did not. None of them paid off.
You did not pick
So
Denver in the risk pick.
I mean, honestly, nobody really got their
No one
risks paid off
should
this
have.
week.
Yes.
No one had any idea that was going to happen, and so but that meant bad for me because I had to benefit in order to take over because there was a 2 point deficit. So the same 2 point deficit is what I lost by.
Yep.
Nothing moved.
Just a quick note. I mentioned the Rams not playing on Monday night because of the fires. The other LA teams in the area, the Clippers, the
Yeah,
Kings, and the Lakers, all did not and cannot play in the area. So those
yeah,
games are technically postponed, will be played later in the year.
right.
Hmm. Oh, and just speaking of LA in 2025, they're going to be hosting hockey this summer. No, not an actual game, but instead the NHL draft. The 2025 NHL draft, which will be moving to a decentralized format, which is basically the NFL style, where everyone is in their own home bases and then calls in what they want the pick to be, rather than like actually physically being there and making the pick. I mean, like they will still be there to have someone there as representative, but not like
Yeah,
everyone's there in a room huddled up together.
right.
You can make the pick and then call it in. That will be held at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles in June this year.
Okay.
That is, of course, after the Stanley Cup is awarded
You gonna try to
to
go?
depends on what I'm doing in June. Maybe it'd be fun to go.
That's like a once in a lifetime thing. Like, why would you ever go to a draft? You could at least say later, like, I went to the draft.
I mean, I went to the All-Star game when it was here in LA.
Yeah, that's
So that
true.
was fun. Maybe I'll go. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
Cheer for the Kings and boo the Ducks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see here. Over in basketball, the Cavaliers have extended their win streak to 11 games, while at the same time ending the Oklahoma City Thunder streak at 15 games. So now they're etching to get the long streak in the
Yep.
season right now. Uh, the Australian Open continues. They're continuing playing. It runs through the 26th, so we won't get actual like finals information till for about 2 weeks now.
Mhm.
And lastly, we got to talk about the D League.
Yes.
College football. Did you watch the game last night? And were you as
No.
disappointed as I was?
Rhetorical question. You know I didn't watch college football.
Oh, I thought it was a rhetorical question because you were as disappointed as I was.
Either way.
So yeah, Penn State had the ball, tied, driving, 30 seconds left, and your running back has 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, absolutely terrorizing Notre Dame defense. And you put the ball on second down in the hands of your quarterback, who throws crossbody, crossfield, and throws a pick, which sets up a game-winning field goal for Notre Dame. And you just feel for that running back. Oh my God. He played one hell of a game, but won't be going to the national championship game. That will be number 7, Notre Dame, against, I don't know, whoever's winning now. Looks like the Ohio State is up 7-0 against Texas. How long until Arch Manning goes into the game?
Guess we'll find out.
Because that's what I have here is Arch Manning. I call him my shot here. Arch Manning gets into the game and saves Texas to lift them into the national championship, and thus the legend of Arch Manning starts.
Hey, if it happens, it happens. I mean, that seems like likely.
This is me
Yeah.
calling the biggest shot
Yeah.
and on the biggest target that you could see coming ever.
Yeah. This is the
Because
first big highlight
spoiler
in
alert,
his.
Mr.
Yeah.
NIL Quentin Ewers, who we've covered on here since he transferred to the Ohio State straight out of high school 4 years ago,
Yeah, there you
it's
go.
all about himself and the NIL money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've covered him on this podcast since then.
We'll see.
Only reason I know who he is.
Yeah. Fair.
All right.
All right.
While that's it for sports,
It's
that's not
not.
it for sports.
Yeah, we have a triple story here, sports stories for their television story this week. So get ready, strap in. Here's what's going on in the biggest sports stories of the week. We start with something called the TGL, which is a high-tech golf league that will be led by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. McIlroy? I'm not really
McElroy.
sure. Is it
That's an
McIlroy? Okay.
IL. Yeah,
Yeah.
McElroy.
Is off to mixed reviews as its first match took place on Tuesday. The 24 players in the league have been split across 6 teams: the Atlanta Drive GC, Boston Common Golf, New York Golf Club, the Bay Golf Club, Jupiter Links GC, and LAGC. TGL takes place indoors and relies on a giant golf simulator, with the league attempting to weave technology into the sport. A match takes place over 15 holes and will include 2 sessions, with session 1 being a triples 9-hole 3 versus 3 foursomes match, and session 2 compiling of a singles one-on-one clash over 6 holes, with each player playing 2. The league will run January 7th through March 4th, with their championship on March 17th. Notable players in the league include Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, and Adam Scott. Not that Adam Scott, although it'd be very, very entertaining to watch that Adam Scott play golf.
Yeah. So yeah, this kicked off on Tuesday. Watched a little bit of it. Uh, it's a golf
Yeah,
simulator, but instead of like having to
yeah,
lug your clubs and everything across 18 holes, you just tee it all up in the air-conditioned facility and knock it into a big screen. The
sure.
most fascinating
Why
thing
not?
here is the green because it's built on a turnstile actuator where it morphs to different greens depending on like what
Huh.
the hole is, and it can mimic like everything.
It's
Like
neat.
I think there's like 500 different actuators that just like mold and move it with it. So it's fun to see how it like moves like every single time. But
Yeah.
overall, it's kind of fun. I think you get more of like the banter in the commentary between everybody because there's like like 4 players per team. And so like they're all 8 guys just like all chilling around. They all know each other. They're the best for the PGA. So they're all like
Yeah.
goading each other with each hit. Also, there's a shot clock on
Yeah.
this. So you got to get up there and hit your ball within 15 seconds. Otherwise, you get a penalty.
This reminds me, this is kind of the golf equivalent of, remember E1, that F1 spinoff that was like had audience participation where you could like charge up the cars in certain locations on the
Mhm.
track?
Yeah, I mean it's like a lot like the eSIM racing, although you won't have anyone yelling obscenities and instantly like losing fan favor over it. Although,
Yet. Yet. We don't
yet,
know. That could happen. Yeah,
yet,
could happen.
yes, yet.
But that's not the only new league we're going to talk about today. We also have one in the basketball scene, Unrivaled, which is the new 3-on-3 women's basketball league starting this month, January 17th, and backed by some major talent. Olympian Michael Phelps, NBA player Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was my best attempt at
Mhm.
that. Tennis star Coco Gauff, soccer star Alex Morgan,
Sorry,
and
retired
celebrities Ashton
soccer
Kutcher.
star Alex
Yeah,
Morgan.
yes. And celebrities Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Okay, sure. Have
They were
invested
the
a
story.
combined, yeah, $35 million into the startup. First announced back in 2024 by WNBA players Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, the new league is composed of 6 teams, 6 players each, to play in the league. Those include the teams Laces, the Lunar Owls, Mist, Phantom, Rose, and Vinyl. Games will be played on a full court 3-on-3 with 7-minute quarters. All games will also be streamed on Max through TNT and True TV. The regular season runs from the 17th through March 10th, with the finals also on March 17th. Big day for spinoff leagues, I guess,
Yes.
before the start of the next proper WNBA season. Notable players in Unrivaled include Brianna Stewart herself, Angel Reese, Sabrina Ionescu, Cameron Brink, Arike Ogunbole, and Brittany Griner.
Yes. Arike Ogunbowale, who is the current high scorer in the WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Brink, who's number 2 overall pick. That's Sabrina Ionescu, who was a former 3-point champion. Yeah, and Brittany Griner
Yeah.
coming in here. Also Angel Reese.
So some,
Uh,
yeah, known names.
yes, you do notice one name that was not listed though.
No.
Caitlin Clark.
Yes. A little busy.
Reportedly, she was offered $1 million to participate, and she turned it down
Yeah. Yeah.
because she wants to take a break from basketball in the WNBA offseason. And she's actually
Yeah.
doing the golf tour. She's actually going to play some golf.
Oh, that's
Uh,
funny. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
she was actually just at a tournament this past weekend. Didn't place, but had good shots here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did offer her to come and like be a sponsor with this.
Yeah.
But she said that like, yeah, there's more time for basketball later, maybe next year. She'll join, but for now she wants to go because she went from the college basketball straight into the WNBA without a
Right.
break because that's the way the draft and the process works. So
Mm-hmm.
she decided for herself, and she's taking it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But I expect her to be there next year.
If it lasts another
Assuming
year.
there is a next year.
Yeah. We'll see.
But yeah,
So moving into our, yeah.
yeah, just last note, Unrivaled, the
Mm-hmm.
players actually have a stake in the teams and are being paid 6-figure salaries as compared to the WNBA salary. So this is
Right.
more like in line for the actual players because there's only 36 players in this league. It
Yeah.
allows them to have more split of the revenue.
Cool.
But it is
That's good.
also kind of like elite status,
Right.
kind of like special guarded invite only into the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Special club.
Yeah.
But anyway, so where might you watch all this this coming year?
Well,
Well,
TNT and Max,
yeah.
if you have it. But if you want
Uh
to watch all in one place, Can't help you there.
Yeah, so this is a story we've been tracking for the last few weeks. You made a very ballsy call that immediately did not pay out for you.
Haha.
I will pick up the phone on this one because I
Yes.
called it. But yeah, this all kind of happened very quickly. I'm actually going to swap your stories because one happened before the other. We start with Disney, who shook up the competition and the conversation about Venue, the all-in multi-companies being involved, one-stop shop for streaming sports. So, if you recall last year, Fubo, the then independent company that was doing um, television streaming, had like a cable equivalent, a video via internet cable equivalent, um, had sued the companies involved in Venue over anti-competition, basically having a monopoly over sports, which is something that Fubo has, some investment in, as being one of the major providers of regional sports content as well as network sports content via the internet. Well, that lawsuit is gone now, thanks to the fact that Disney swept in and announced they would take 70% control of Fubo. As a result, Disney would be merging its Hulu Plus Live TV product with Fubo, which by default removes any, settles any lawsuit that existed. Disney, meanwhile, for all this, of course, is targeting their own sports streaming app called Flagship, which will have ESPN and everything that involves ESPN rolled into one app. So live ESPN coverage as well as the content that's already on existing service ESPN Plus.
Unsure if the flagship is what's actually app is actually going to be called, but they're
Yeah,
just
name tentative.
right now the ESPN Plus, the ESPN subscriptions, and ESPN Fantasy, and all that's kind of separated. They're looking to combine it all into one, and having Fubo will help with
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah. And so after I saw this, to me at least, the writing was on the wall. I was like, okay, this either means this is immediately going to happen now that there's no more lawsuit, or this means that this will never happen. And just this morning at 6 in the morning, the shoe dropped. Venue is no more. Basically, the proposed MVPD service that would have combined ESPN, Fox, Warner together in one place where you could enjoy all the sports possible will be discontinued. The collective decision by the three companies not to move forward with the joint venture is effective immediately. Here's a quote. After careful consideration, we have collectively agreed to discontinue the Venue Sports joint venture and not launch the streaming service. In an ever-changing marketplace, we determined that it was best to meet the evolving demands of sports fans by focusing on existing products and distribution channels. We are proud of the work that has been done on Venue to date and grateful to the Venue staff, whom we will support during this transition period. So take your bets now, no pun intended. But I think this was Disney's largesse probably that caused this. I think that Disney realized late into this that the move, instead of focusing on Venue and doing something that would potentially lose them money that they weren't just exclusively making themselves, they decided to put all their chips in on this ESPN product. And move one was taking Fubo out of the equation. Basically, like they probably ran the numbers. They were like, we can just buy these guys, roll them into our thing, make our thing the second largest streaming service of its kind, second only to YouTube TV. And then that's no longer a conversation. Then they can put everything, all in their investment in their ESPN product, make sure it's the prime thing. And then down the line, maybe coerce the deals to come to them instead of being pulled into Venue and that money being distributed three ways.
Don't be fooled by all these smokescreen. You know the big thing is sports gambling. It's
That too.
ESPN Bet. That's what they want, is that one place to both watch and place active live bets. With Fubo, this helps them, like you said, eliminate that part of the competition.
Yeah.
If they were going to do this at Venue, they would have to split with Fox and Warner. Now they don't need to. I think that this move for Venue was a double-edged win for Disney, whether they get Venu up and going and they are part of the Fox and Warner Brothers team like Hulu, and then down the line they eventually, like Hulu, buy out Fox and Warner and just own it wholly, like Hulu.
It could
Or
happen.
they get someone like Fubo to strike this lawsuit, go to court with them, go behind closed doors with lawyers and say, okay, let's see what we really want to do here is just buy you out. What if we
Right.
do
Yeah.
that? And we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we could do that. Well, we don't want to do that. Well, we're in litigation. Either you're going to lose or we're going to buy you. What do you want
Yeah.
money? And you go like, yeah, we want money. All
Right.
right, we'll settle. Take the 70% and go like as long as you don't. Maybe that's part of like stipulation. As long as you don't merge with Fox and Warner on this and screw us,
Right.
we'll allow this merger to happen. And
Yeah.
here we are.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say the same thing that I've said the whole time about Venue, which it was too big to exist. It was just too
I
much
know
of a
you've been
big
saying that.
thing.
Let me have my dream.
It's never gonna happen because you can't get three major corporations to play nice with each other.
Not
You
anymore.
saw,
Hulu
yeah, you
existed.
saw what happened with Hulu. Hulu started that way and then quickly de-escalated, and then now you have basically what you're left with Hulu. So yeah, no, this was never gonna happen. R.I.P. Venue.
Yes, you barely didn't even make it a full year.
Didn't even do it. All right, any television that we want to talk about this week?
Uh, wrote up my thoughts on Squid Game
Yes.
season 2.
That is up on the website now, mediaboatpodcast.com, if you want to read his impressions there.
Yep, just real briefly, I didn't like it because the
Yeah.
whole reason your main player was doing this was to prevent the killings from happening.
Yeah.
Ultimately succumbs to, I have to now kill my players here. And it's like, but that's entirely what you're against.
I
If that's
mean,
what you're
that's the
going
point,
for, if
right?
that's the point, that
Yeah.
is super dumb.
I
Have
mean,
some dignity, have some morals, have
it's just
some backbone and spine. You have all
it's
the money here. You don't have to be here.
it sounds like it was just predictable. Is that you were upset that it did the
Yes.
thing that of course it did.
Oh,
You know.
and the main like villain could like be an even obvious like antagonist if they tried. And oh boy, did they try.
Right. Oh, by the way, spoilers for Squid Game season 2, in case you weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All
it's
right.
too
But
late
yeah,
now.
thoughts are on the website.
That's around the website. Anything else, real quick?
No, we did finish shrinking. I did like
Okay.
it. I'm excited to have more of it. I want more
All
shrinking.
right. All
I
right.
want more Derek in my life.
And then um the big one, Severance is next week, right?
Yes, Severance is
Yeah.
next week. The Pit premiered yesterday. I'll be watching that
Oh
with
yes, the
my
medical one,
doctor.
the Noah Wiley, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Noah Wiley 24 style medical drama where each episode is its own hour inside a 13-hour shift.
Yeah.
Uh, that premiered yesterday. I'll be watching it at some point. I
Okay.
may not have thoughts on the first episode by the time we record next week, but that is something that is on my radar. It looks really good, fascinating, and gripping, and I'm interested in it.
Cool. My brief one that I keep forgetting to talk about on the show is I have been watching Pop Culture Jeopardy, which is
But
on
that's on
Amazon
Amazon.
Prime. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, it's pretty good for what it is, actually. It's been really entertaining.
But
Unfortunately, I
that's Colin
know.
Jost.
You know what? He's not terrible when he doesn't have the SNL writers, is what I will say about Colin
But
Jost.
he is the SNL writer, or he was the
Yeah,
SNL head writer.
makes me think that he gets outvoted a lot in that writer's room, is the vibe I get from his hosting abilities. I think he's actually pretty decent at improv, is what I will say.
Scarlett Johansson agrees with you.
Ew, gross. I don't want to think about that. Let's move on. Into cancellations and
What am I
renewals.
no longer watching?
You're no longer watching the franchise on HBO as it was canceled just after one season.
I can live with that. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't do it. Didn't do the thing.
It was not a franchise after all.
No, turns out. Also canceled this week. Harlem on Prime Video canceled after its third season. Then we have one renewal, Shoresy on Hulu will get a 5th season.
That's the Letterkenny spinoff that continues to be a thing.
Yes. All right. Moving into deaths, we have a couple this week. First up, Wayne Osmond, one of the elder Osmonds of the Osmonds. Of course, songwriter, worked on songs like Crazy Horse and Let Me In, age 73.
Yep.
Then
second oldest Osmond.
Second oldest Osmond. There
Yes.
you go. And then we have also Dale Wilson, age 74, voice actor, worked on shows such as Dragon Ball Z and G.I. Joe. Which Dragon Ball Z character did he voice?
Cell. So,
Okay.
famous voice actor.
There you go. All right. Let's move on to the last segment of the show this week, which is movies. And we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. Your number one movie this week, finally taking the number one spot after weeks of being battled, is Mufasa, the Lion King, with $23 million this week. That's at 168.
You can finally run those number one movies at the box office trailers.
They were holding on to it. They were holding on to those files. And finally, they were like, all right, we can do it.
You can release them like
Push
the
them out.
gazelles. Stampede them. Wait, no, wrong reference.
We finally beat Sonic for one weekend, and we will never do it again. Because Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is your number two movie with $21 million this week. So slim margin when you really think about it. That's at $187 million. So yes, $20 million domestic separates these two movies.
Yes.
But notable about Sonic, though, internationally, globally, it has hit that $1 billion magic mark.
As a franchise.
Yes.
Which it took Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movies to do, and The Lion King 1 movie to do. So who's the real winner there?
Well, in this case, this one's not going to do it. So,
well, no, because The Lion King live action version already did it in 2019.
Right. The first one. The first one. I'm just saying this second one's not going to do it. So,
yes. We all know that.
Yeah. And number 3, Nosferatu. Nosferatu with another $13 million. That's at a nice 69 domestic.
Nice.
Number 4, Moana 2, still here, $12 million. That's at 425. It will done pretty well, but it's just not going to hang out for too much longer here.
Well, especially when it came out the weekend after Wicked and never could catch it.
No, in fact, Wicked is your number 5 movie this week with another $9.9 million. That is at 450, so a full $25 million above Moana 2 domestically.
Yes.
Then way down, number 8, it's dropped super far. Gladiator 2 is way down with $2.6 million this week at 168 total.
That's the surprising part. Not the 2.6 million. The fact that Gladiator 2 made $168 million.
Yeah.
Which is the same number as Mufasa the Lion King.
Yeah, it made its money. It's interesting to see how times have changed. Back in 2000, it was the first Gladiator movie was both a box office
I hate that we have
success.
to say that, though.
Yeah, I know. It was both a box office success and a critical darling, winning Best Picture that year.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same this year. We'll talk a little bit about the Golden Globes in a second, but to see it relegated to the box office blockbuster category instead of the major categories was a stark reminder of where we are with movies nowadays. Gladiator 2 just couldn't hang critically, but it did make a decent amount of money.
Yep. Yeah, 168's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it's not gonna make its budget back, but
no,
it's as good as The Lion King, Mufasa.
Yeah. It's enough to give Ridley Scott more permission to make whatever he wants, which is apparently the thing he gets to do. So
yes, trying to do the James Cameron thing.
Yeah. All right. Moving into movie releases for this upcoming weekend, movies that you can actually go see tonight. Your big new releases are Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, the sequel to Den of Thieves. And Robbie Williams is a monkey in Better Man, finally out in wide release this week.
Yes, and for everyone who doesn't know who Robbie Williams is, you can go watch a Better Man.
You're not British. If you
you
might not be British if you don't know who Robbie Williams is. But yeah.
All right, but we get to play our favorite game.
Yep.
How much does Den of Thieves 2 make?
Nothing.
I mean, It's gonna be the number one movie next week, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it'll probably do better than Better Man, ironically enough.
Yes. I don't know, 32 million probably opening
Yeah.
weekend,
I mean, looking at
January.
this week that seems right.
I want to say 25, but I feel like it's gonna easily clear 25, so I will put like 32.
We'll see, won't we?
All
All
right.
right, let's move into our movie story this week, which, as I mentioned, is about the Golden Globes. So you're asking, wait a minute, you guys haven't covered the Golden Globes for a few years. Well, they're no longer owned by the scumbag Foreign Press Association. So I did actually tune in and watch the Golden Globes this year. Did
I
you watch
watched the
this?
monologue.
Oh,
Yeah, because Nikki Glazer was there.
yeah,
She was
host Nikki
hosting.
Glazer.
It
She
was
did
funny.
okay.
She is
Yeah,
funny.
she did okay. But yeah, but we have a whole list of winners and losers from the night of the Golden Globes for you, including Adrian Brody and Brady Corbett took home three.
I say
Corbett.
Corbett.
I forgot how they pronounced it. But they took home three total awards for actor, director, and drama for The Brutalist, the 3.5 hour with 15-minute intermission ridiculous movie that I don't know anybody who has seen.
It is the counter to Megalopolis that's actually
Yeah.
good instead of Megalopolis. It is
Yeah.
also because they're both about someone who wants to an architect to rebuild the city that they live in.
Yeah. It made a terrible impression on me at the Golden Globes, though, personally, as someone who really doesn't like Adrian Brody, and two, thought the director came across as a pretentious douchebag.
Well, that's what the Brutalist is, and yet it
Yeah.
won.
And yet here we are. So Oscar buzz? Question mark?
Well, I mean, it's the Golden Globes, so
Yeah. So take it with a grain of salt. But
yes.
still, as award seasons go, it does put it right now kind of with a couple points in its favor.
Yeah. But the other films are what really matter here.
Yes, other films were there too, including Emilia Perez, which won its share of awards. Zoe Saldana won for supporting actress, and it also won foreign language film and musical or comedy. That film is not without its own controversies, though, depending on which side of the conversation you are. It's getting attacked by the right for having a trans story being central to it, but it's also being attacked for, by other people for good reasons as being kind of weirdly racist towards Mexico. So, depending on who you're listening to, Emilia Perez is a mess for all sorts of different reasons. I have not seen it. It's on Netflix if you're curious, I guess.
I'm not that
Um,
curious.
right. Moving on, Demi Moore won Best Actress for The Substance, saying in her speech that this is the first time she's been awarded for her acting work. So, congratulations to me. And then Kieran Culkin won the supporting actor for musical or comedy award for A Real Pain, his movie with Jesse Eisenberg. Meanwhile, media vote favorite Conclave won screenplay, and Nine Inch Nails, Atticus Ross and
Trent
Trent
Reznor.
Reznor specifically won original score for, of course, Challengers. So, audio viewers, I'm wearing a Challengers themed sweatshirt that Mike bought me for Christmas. Thank you again. In TV awards, yes, because the Golden Globes do that too. Shogun continued to sweep, winning supporting actor, actress for Tadanobu Asano, Haruyuki Sanada, and Anna Sawai, and as for drama TV series. Baby Reindeer continued its wins with Jessica Gunning for female actor in a miniseries. And Hacks continued its wins in the comedy category for Jean Smart for actress and musical or comedy series. Lastly, Colin Farrell won actor in a miniseries, and Jeremy Allen White won actor in a musical or comedy for what else? The Bear.
The Bear.
Yeah, otherwise it was a pretty entertaining show.
Mhm.
Yeah, Nikki Glazer did a pretty good job hosting. There weren't that many super cringy moments. It was a pretty okay show.
Yeah, I think you hit it at the beginning where the Brutalist is taking that early step forward. Good to
Yeah.
see Conclave winning here for screenplay, getting that step forward as well. And maybe where people will see the substance and a real pain for their award wins as well.
Yeah.
Um, One we don't have listed here, and I don't know why, is Sebastian Stan winning
Yes.
his Golden Globe in acting
Yeah.
for I forgot what that movie is called. It's not Better. Yeah, Better Man. No, not Better Man.
No,
Normal Man.
something like that. I don't
Something
know
like
which one
that.
you're talking about.
Yeah, with the makeup in the face.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, he used his speech to shout out kind of a hope for a future in which we support more physically what's the term? Can't think of words today for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with my brain.
Well, you want to use
But
the right words here too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The subject of that movie is what I will say because I don't know the best way to put it. Anyway, yes. That was for the Golden Globes. Yeah. So we kind of, yeah, we start here. The first opening shots of award season. So over the next few weeks, we will be talking a lot probably about award season, what movies are on the front lines of Oscar contention, and eventually reaching the Oscars themselves in March.
Still rooting for Conclave.
Yeah, still rooting for Conclave. Team Conclave over here.
Yeah, we are. All right.
All right.
Did you watch anything?
Oh yeah, I did. I don't have time. I kind of have a part out here in a few minutes, so I don't have time to talk about it. I wish I did. We watched the Wallace and Gromit Revenge. What is it called?
Revenge of the Were Rabbit.
No, that was their last movie. This is the
Uh,
new Wallace and Gromit movie on Netflix
oh,
right
the
now.
chicken one.
Vengeance Most Foul, which
Yes.
is a sequel of sorts to A Close Shave, the third Wallace and Gromit short, in which Feathers McGraw, the nefarious penguin villain, returns. It is really good. If you like the Wallace and Gromit shorts and Curse of the Were-Rabbit from 2008, absolutely check this out. I think you should watch this with Doctor. I think you guys would love it. It's a fun Wallace and Gromit adventure. It's a blast.
Maybe we'll watch it and we'll have something to talk about next week.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that actually works out. So that way we can both talk about it next week.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll hold that conversation till the next time.
All right. But in the meantime, we're done with this episode. So
Yes.
lead us out.
Thank you for joining us on the Media Boat Podcast this week. We will be back next week for another episode. If you want to watch us in video form, go to YouTube, search Media Boat Podcast on YouTube. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. If you are here because you watched our Gossip Girl video, thank you. And maybe more of that will come soon too to our channel. I don't know. We'll see. You can also find us in podcast form and audio form specifically. If you go to podcast services like iHeartRadio's, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts, type in Media Boat Podcast and you'll find our show. You can also find us on the internet. We're on Blue Sky, search Media Boat Podcast. We never got a TikTok, so you don't have to worry about us getting taken down in 2 weeks. You can also find us on MediaBoatPodcast.com, where our archive of our shows is there, as well as write-ups, including Mike's thoughts about Squid Game Season 2. You can also, lastly, email us at MediaBoatPodcast@gmail.com if you have questions, thoughts, feedback about the show, anything you want read live on the show, just email it at MediaBoatPodcast@gmail.com. Right, with that, we will be back next week. We will see you guys for now.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Be back next week with more news, more thoughts, and more of us.
Bye.
Okay, bye.